Present our next program. This lady has spanned many decades, taken charge of the future, and challenged the mind of every American that has dared to dream and acted upon those dreams. I present to you the Clara Luper Show with Mrs. Clara Luper.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy good evening to you wherever you are. This is the exciting Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is being made possible by your Allstate insurance agent, Marilyn Hildred. If it's insurance that you need, call Marilyn. The telephone number is 755-7252. She's located at 2028 North Penn Avenue here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. If you enjoy this program, remember Marilyn Hildred, your Allstate agent, is making this program possible. It was a great day for the graduates of Langston University and Dungey High School when Joyce Johnson Henderson left Oklahoma City this morning to go to San Diego, California, where she will be honored as a top administrator in America. Joyce Johnson Henderson, a graduate of Dungey High School and of Langston University, won the 1990 Kennedy Center School Administrators Award. She was nominated by the Oklahoma Alliance for Arts Education, which is an affiliate state organization of the Kennedy Center School. She was nominated as an outstanding secondary school principal who has demonstrated support and commitment to quality arts education program in Oklahoma City and in the state. This award will be presented at the 1990 National Association of Secondary School Principals Convention in San Diego, California. Now, there are many activities that are associated with the award, but I would like to call your attention to Monday, February the 19th, 1990, in the San Diego Convention Center, when she will be presented, along with 8 other awardees, this prestigious award. Now let me repeat, and all the graduates of Langston University should be shouting because of all of the principals in Oklahoma. A graduate from Langston University walked off with that #1 award. You're saying, Clara, you're bragging. Why shouldn't I brag? Because she was in my homeroom class and we won everything at Dungey and we are going to continue to win. Yes, Joyce Johnson Henderson is on her way to San Diego, California, where she will receive the award. It's Soul Bazaar time in Oklahoma, and Soul Bazaar time simply means that on March 16th and 17th, the 21st annual Soul Bazaar will be held. Now, when you go to the Soul Bazaar, I want you to be sure to visit the Spencer Chevrolet Company's booths, Langston University, Vance Motor Company, Community Action Program, Oklahoma Gas and Electric Company, Vicky Miles, Coors, Langston University, the university that graduated the number one principal in the United States. I want you to also visit George Key's booth, Homelands, Sheriff Sharp, Rainbow, the Oklahoma City Police Department, AT&T, Ralph Ellison's Library, the Urban League, the Southwestern Bell Telephone Company, Cashlands, Spencer Chevrolet Company, Rose State College, Oklahoma State Technical College, located here in Oklahoma City, Powers Nissan in Edmond, Oklahoma, the Rosie Maria Collection, all at Soul Bazaar 90. The Baha'is will also be there along with other exhibitors that I will be telling you about next week. Those of you that are interested in the baby contest, be sure and call us. Mrs. Letty Ruth Hunter is directing that contest. The bake contest is led by Mrs. Sutton, and those of you that think you can bake a cake or sweet potato pie or different kinds of cake, be sure and get in contact with us. So Miss Soul Bazaar will be crowned at the 21st annual Soul Bazaar. Those of you that are interested in Mr. Talent USA and you have some talent, be sure and let us know, along with a talent show, a fashion show, and next week we are going to announce a big surprise that will be part of Soul Bazaar 90. Remember now, Soul Bazaar 90 is open to all races, all creeds, all colors, and all sizes. This has been a busy week, and I have a lot of hellos for so many of you. I had the opportunity on last Sunday to go to El Reno, Oklahoma, to the New Zion Baptist Church, and it was an experience that I shall always cherish. I would like to thank those of you that received me so warmly. I would like to thank you for the beautiful corsage and the other tokens of kindness. Reverend Brown is a minister there, and I do appreciate it. And I also appreciate Mrs. Janie Lurks, who went along with me. I would also like to thank those of you that are in Kansas, in Bethany, at Bethany College. I had the opportunity to work there for 2 days. I taught a class in government, and I was a guest speaker at that large assembly. Certainly, I would like to thank you. Let me tell you a bit about Bethany College. It is a traditional Lutheran college, and it's a very expensive college. There are only 17 blacks in the college, along with 800 whites. There are 16 black young men, and most of them are on athletic scholarships, and one young lady. Young ladies out in Radio Land, I know you would like to be at a college where you'd be the only black young lady and you would get all of the attention. It all started with a reception in my honor. And then it ended up the next morning with a breakfast in my honor. And that day, I had the opportunity to teach a class and also to speak. I would like to thank the acting president of that university, the dean, and others for all of the tokens of kindness that they showed me. Now, for the people in Hoffman, Oklahoma, I want you to know that I became the first of my race to live in what is known as the Sanzing House. That's the president's house. It was so beautiful. It was unbelievable. And when they put me in this beautiful house with 2 bedrooms upstairs, one living space upstairs, a living room, and then downstairs I had 2 beautiful rooms, one to entertain my guests and one to just lounge. It was something. And coming from Hoffman, Oklahoma, and Grayson High School, it was really something. And I know all of you from Grayson, very proud. You know what I'm talking about because you know the kind of house that I lived in as a child and how far I have come. Well, it's Black History Week, and certainly tonight I will be speaking for the Pan-Atlantic Council in Lawton, Oklahoma. All you Kappas that made it possible for me, thank you, Kappas. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and certainly I want to thank you. It's Black History Month, and because it's Black History Month, today we are going to be talking to the leaders of the Urban League. You wanted to know about the Urban League, and I'm going to be able to tell you about them because I have 2 very distinguished visitors here that I will present to you later. But what's going on? We will hear the news, and the news are good news, and good news are good news. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and this program is being made possible today by your Allstate Insurance agent, Marilyn Hildreth. The telephone number is 755-7252. Call her for all of your insurance needs. This is the Clara Luper radio show. This is the show that you have been waiting for. Dr. Dow, who is an outstanding optometrist, is located at 934 Northeast 8th Street here in Oklahoma City. The telephone number is 235-0536, and you may call him for your appointment. Everything is going to be all right. I know it's going to be all right because I have 2 handsome gentlemen here with me today. I have them in standard colors. What else could you ask for?
Hello?
Yes. Okay, are we coming through okay?
I can't hear you.
Oh, well, I'll try something else. Do you hear me now? Hello? Okay, I've got to hang up, and then I'll pick up. And you just hold on, okay?
All right.
Interview them. This is the Clara Luper radio show. What a show! You haven't seen nothing, you haven't heard nothing yet. Hello?
Hello.
Yes. And I'm talking to?
Marilyn Harrison.
Okay, Marilyn, how are you today?
Fine, and you?
Oh, I'm real excited because this is part of my Black History celebration, and I have the Urban League represented here today in black and white. What else could I ask for?
You could have us on there next week. We're excited about coming next week.
That is exactly right. You will be here next week on the Clara Luper radio show. And you will be doing what?
We will be singing, rendering some black spirituals.
When you say we, who are you talking about?
Emmanuel Baptist.
The Emmanuel Baptist Church will be here on KBYE next Saturday?
Yes.
Oh, where's that church located?
2140 North Cali, Oklahoma City.
And who is your pastor?
Reverend Clyde C. Carroll.
Are you bringing him next Saturday?
We sure are.
Oh, that must be exciting. You're going to be singing spirituals?
Mm-hmm.
What
Yes.
spirituals are you going to be singing?
We are going to be singing. And ain't that good news?
Ain't that good news?
Mhm.
Okay.
You must have that true religion.
You must have that true religion. I want to dedicate that to my friends out in Radio Land, because some of them don't have that true religion. So I'm dedicating this to all of you that don't have true religion. What else are you going to sing?
We will be singing Rockin' Jerusalem.
What?
Rockin' Jerusalem.
Oh my gracious, I love that song.
Sooner we'll be done.
Sooner we'll be done with the troubles of the world. I remember C.C.O. Williams, and that song, that was his favorite song. Sooner we'll be done with the troubles of the world. And what else are you going to be singing?
I hear a voice of praying.
I hear a voice of praying.
Mhm.
Oh, great, great. Tell me some of your soloists that will be here.
We have Minnie Flowers. She will be the soloist on You Must Have That True Religion.
Minnie Flowers.
Yes.
Oh, I know Minnie quite well. She's a member of my sorority.
Yes. And then we have another soloist, Eva Shaw.
Eva's going to be out here singing?
Yeah.
What is Eva going to sing?
Rockin' Jerusalem.
Rockin' Jerusalem, all right?
And that's the only two soloists we have with these spiritual.
And I will have the entire choir here.
You sure will.
Oh, I'm so excited about it, and I can hardly wait until next Saturday.
And we're excited, too. We appreciate you asking us. We believe and trust this is a really golden opportunity for us.
Well, thank you so very kindly, and I'll see you next Saturday.
Okay, sure will.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes,
Next Saturday, Emmanuel Baptist Church will be here. I don't have to worry about singing. I never shall forget when I was a child in Hoffman, Oklahoma. My dad had heard what some white folks told him, that all blacks could sing. So he had his 3 daughters, Onita, Hazel, and I, to sing. And we really went to town. We were at the Pilgrim Baptist Church in Hoffman, Oklahoma. We sang, "Take a Stand, Take a Stand." The people took a stand and walked out of the church. This is the Clara Luper radio show. These people left us up there singing, "Take a Stand." Daddy never made us try to sing again. Sir Charles Taylor is located at 4725 Southeast 59th Street here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. You deserve a tailor-made suit, so why don't you go out? 4725 Southeast 59th Street. You don't need an appointment. Just go on out there and tell them you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show. While you're in the state capitol building, I would like for you to have lunch with the Capitol Heritage Cafeteria. They are open every day from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. for that special luncheon, and the snack bar stays open until 7 p.m. I would like to thank you for thanking me for telling you about Cashlands, where you can get your check cash, where you can pay your utility bills, and where you can send a telegram. All at Cashlands, located at 1945 Northeast 23rd Street here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. It is true that Cashlands will be at Soul Bazaar 90. That's March 16th and 17th. You are invited. This is really an exciting day. You don't know what it means to just be celebrating Black History Month, and then you have distinguished people coming in, and it is really something. And those of you down in Lawton, Oklahoma, I'll be down there tonight to help you celebrate your Black History program. Tomorrow night I shall have the opportunity to speak to the students at Oklahoma Christian College as that college celebrates Black History Month.
That is on Monday. On Tuesday, I have a very exciting day. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do on Tuesday, but I'm going to tell you on Wednesday I will be in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, where I will speak to the schools there on Black history. On Thursday, I will be in Shawnee, Oklahoma, at Shawnee High School, and you high school students, remember that I will be there. On Friday, I will have the opportunity to speak for the people at the Veterans Hospital at their banquet. On Saturday, February the 24th, I want you to be sure and remember that Christopher Eason will be on Star Search on Saturday. Now, I want all of you to be sure and look at Star Search because look, Christopher started at the NACP Youth Council's office and went on up to the top. He is now in Hollywood. It will be a great day, but Friday I will have the opportunity to speak for the black firemen as they celebrate Black History Month. That's Friday at the Oak Room at Central Park at 7 p. at Central Plaza. On Saturday, not Friday, on Saturday at 7 p.m. That's the 24th. Last week I had the opportunity to attend what was known as a Meet Your Candidate type of thing at the Tinkerfield Credit Union's request. This was held at the Lincoln Plaza here in Oklahoma City. It was quite interesting. They had told me that Tinkerfield's Credit Union had 135,000 members, but less than 100 attended that ceremony. Did you notice that, Letty?
Yes, I did. I was wondering about how many was there. What did you think about the meeting, Mrs. Luper?
The meeting reminded me, and naturally I'm a history teacher, and I cannot forget what happened in Germany and in Italy when people stopped becoming involved. They lost their freedom. And when I think of the number of people, large number of people that are members of the Tinker Credit Union then and a number that attended, I'm shocked. Well, Letty, I'll be back with you in just a minute. In the meantime, this is the Clara Luper Radio Show. Hello?
Hello, Miss Luper. This is Lily Buckner calling.
Yes, Lily Buckner. Happy Black History Month.
Well, thank you, and the same to you.
Well, thank you. I understand that something is getting ready to happen at your church, and I was driving down Kelly Avenue and saw that beautiful cross. It was something to look at, and it's a reminder that once upon a time somebody gave their life on that cross for us. But what are you doing at your church?
Well, Miss Luper, we are about to celebrate the 6th appreciation service for our pastor and his family, Reverend A. Glenn Woodbury.
Now, you are telling me that in 6 years you have built a new church and got a big cross out there?
Yes,
and I know you have so many people up there. I'm looking forward to y'all parking in my yard on 43rd Street.
Well, we have plenty of space, and we will be expanding parking space real soon.
Okay. Well, tell me about the program.
The program begins on the 21st, Wednesday night, at 7:30, and it climaxes on next Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. And we have the local churches from Oklahoma City that will be appearing each night. On Wednesday night, the visiting churches will be Greater Sap with Reverend Lindley, First Baptist Hicks Edition, Reverend W.B. Woodbury, Mount Carmel with Reverend K. Jerome Free, and Reverend Lindley will be the speaker. And then it goes on through the week. Do I have enough time to give you all of it?
Of course. I always have time for Mount Olive Baptist Church.
Well, thank you. On Thursday night, the visiting churches will be Union Baptist, Reverend Kelly Booker, pastor, Emmanuel Baptist, Reverend C.C. Carroll, pastor, and Faith Memorial, Reverend M.A. Curry. And Reverend Kelly Booker will be the speaker, and Kelly is a product of Greater Mount Olive, so we're real happy about that. On Friday, the visiting churches will be Paradise, Reverend F.D. Roseborough, pastor, Fairview Baptist, Reverend J.A. Reed, Jr., pastor, and Friendship Baptist, Reverend Michael L. Bubb, pastor. And Reverend F.D. Roseborough will be the speaker on Friday. And then we have something real special, Miss Luper. On Saturday night, we are having an appreciation banquet, and we are calling it Heavenly Enchantment.
What?
It will be
What are you calling it?
Heavenly Enchantment.
I don't understand heavenly enchantment.
Oh,
What does that
it's a
mean?
beautiful occasion, and it's talking about all the beautiful things and the beautiful surrounding and how you can do them in a Christian atmosphere.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it will be at Metro Tech at 7:30. Tickets are available. I have tickets, or you can contact Herbert's Gospel Record Shop. And the tickets are $15 each.
Just $15?
Just $15, and we believe that our pastor is worth 3 times that and more. So we are looking forward to a real great occasion on Saturday night. And then appreciation service will climax on Sunday at 11 o'clock. Reverend Major Jemison of St. John will speak, and those beautiful choirs of Greater Mount Olive will provide music. And at 3 o'clock, we will have as our guest Unity, Reverend Eric A. Mays Jr., pastor, Shallow, Reverend T.H. Hubbard, pastor, and St. Luke, Reverend DeWitt Rowland, pastor. And Reverend Eric Mays will be the speaker Sunday afternoon.
I know you
will looking forward to a great occasion.
Well, I would like to congratulate all of you, and certainly we respect your minister, and on behalf of all of us here at KBYE, we wish you a happy anniversary, your sixth anniversary.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure he's listening today.
Well, thank
and
you.
And good luck to you too, Miss Luper, in your show. You do a great job.
Well, thank you. I like my flowers because I want all of my flowers while I'm living. Because when I die, I don't want people sitting up there at my funeral looking at my pretty flowers. This is Clara Luper saying thank you so very kindly.
Thank you, Miss Luper.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, back to this Tinkerfield Credit Union. Lady, do you have any questions you would like to ask the member and the reporter that was present?
Right, Mrs. Luper. I do want, first thing I want to ask before I go into the candidacy of it, for the number of people that were present, did you feel that we were misusing your funds in any way?
Well, in first place, I can't understand people that have questions and won't answer questions. The world is full of grasshopper-type thinking people. They just hop around and talk about, and then when they get in front of the real people, they won't ask a question. I noticed you asked some questions.
Why, sure, I had some questions to ask, but the thing that I really wanted to know, I wanted the candidates' resumes so I could look at it and see what they were going to say. Just standing up there talking to me, you know, and then you ask the question after 2 or 3 candidates have spoken. Then you come back and you ask one question at a time. What do you think about just that one question? You know, you get up there and say, "What's your name?" That was one question.
Well, one thing about it, they had the rules, so they were protective. But one thing that really tickled me, and I'm still laughing, because I asked Mr. Jack P. Slaughter, who had been on the supervisory committee or board or something for 13 years, and in his presentation, he was talking about what he was going to do now. He was going to make the good better and the better better. And I asked him what he had done in 13 years, and Mr. Slaughter told me that he started talking about we, and I said, I'm not talking about we, I'm talking about you. But, lady,
I want to ask you something else, Mrs. Luper. Do you remember I asked one of the candidates a question? Now, he'd been on this committee for some time, for a number of years. And I asked him one question. The question that I asked him, what was the duty of that position that he was in?
He sure didn't tell you.
No, he did not. He come telling me, you know what he told me?
No, what did he tell you?
That he was running for something else. So when I walked away, I said to myself, now you can't tell me the duties and the obligations of the office that you have held for the past several years. Now how are you going to run for one that you don't know anything about and succeed? That's all I wanted to know, Mrs. Luper. Can you imagine the man couldn't tell me? He's been there all those many years, and he couldn't tell me what one duty of his office was, but he did tell me I'm running for something else.
Well, one thing I can say, he could have told you, but he sure didn't tell you. He really didn't tell you.
Ms. Luper, what candidates were present?
Well, one thing about it, the candidates that were present were all running. One for the board of directors position number 6, that was Ken Ballard, Harry Lee Dietz, Charles A. Harper Jr., and Jack P. Slaughter. For the board of directors position number 7, Forrest Butch Freeman Jr., Howard H. Hayes, George W. Longnecker. For the credit commission position, it was Helen D. Crew Maneker and James R. Uxt. Those were the ones that were running. They were all present, and they were all won votes. Well, we were going to look over the material that we had, and certainly...
But do you have an idea now as to who you think would be the winning candidate?
I have no idea, but I'll tell you who I think will not be the winning candidate. That's
Wait.
No, okay, I won't even tell you.
We're going to talk about this next Saturday.
Okay, we'll talk about it next Saturday.
Next Saturday, I'm going to tell you I'm going to select who is
It was
going
a
to
winner.
be the winners.
Don't be like
I'm going
the-
to give you a chance to select. Now, we're going to do better than we do with some of the things.
And don't be like the people that selected Mike Tyson last week. I'm telling you, I felt so sorry for some of my friends. They were around talking about what Mike Tyson was going to do. I'll tell you what Mike Tyson did. He fell on his back.
But one thing they always say, when you fall on your back, you can get up. So he really got up, and he's trying to scuffle to come back. So I don't know if the candidates are going to be this lucky or not. All those candidates that's running for the office. And next Saturday on the 24th, now I'm going to have all the names that I think is going to be a winner.
Well,
and I'm going to tell you why I think they're going to be a winner.
Okay, we'll wait until next Saturday. In the meantime, it's time to talk about Miss Black, Oklahoma. Tonight at Central State University, the judges, 9 judges, will select that one young lady that will represent Central State in the 1990 Miss Black, Oklahoma pageant. At Oklahoma University, at the same time, Oklahoma University will select that one person that will represent Oklahoma University at the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant in June of 1990. So far, never before in the history of Miss Black Oklahoma have we had so many cities, colleges, and universities represented. We have Ardmore, Bristol, Britain, Cameron University, Enid, Langston University, Muskogee, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma University, Oklahoma State University, and incidentally, that's Cessna Center, Ponca City, Spencer, Tulsa, Dover, McAllister, Tallahassee, Guthrie Job Corps, Ada, Sand Springs, Southwestern Oklahoma State University, Altus, Putnam City, Boley, Oklahoma, Hayworth, Oklahoma, El Reno, Oklahoma, Janetta Fowler, Oklahoma State University Technical Branch, Oklahoma Community College, Chandler, Hollis, Moore, Rose State College, War Acres, The Village, Midwest City, and Quail Creek. All of those will be part of Miss Black Oklahoma 1990. In 2 minutes, you will have the opportunity to hear about the Urban League. I know there will be a lot of questions, and you can feel free to call us, 478-2103, and we will certainly answer your question. In the meantime, we pause now for our funeral and death announcements. Our funeral and death announcements.
Announces the following services. Services from Mrs. Adeline Driver of 1618 Northeast 8th Street will be Tuesday at 1 p.m. in the chapel of the Ross Funeral Home. Funeral service from Mrs. Alberta Nicholson of 1413 Washington is pending with the Ross Funeral Home. Funeral service from Mrs. Mary Lockland of Oklahoma City is also pending with the Ross Funeral Home. Temple Funeral Home announces the services of Mr. Charles N. Barty of 929 Northeast 35th, and that service will be Wednesday at 2 p.m. in the chapel of the Temple Funeral Home. We would like to say to the families today, as we extend to you our deepest sympathy, we ask you to lift up your eyes.
This July at the National NACP Convention as a member of the National Youth Work Committee. She was elected by the young people from Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Because of that election, today she's in New York City, where she is working, as she worked yesterday with others, to plan the 1990 NACP Youth Program. And Shelley was really rejoicing when I told her last night that Northeast High School defeated, in basketball, Northwest High School. Time marches on, And today we have made tremendous progress because of the work of various civil rights organizations. And today I have here representing the second oldest civil rights organization, two young men. And your name?
Leonard Benton and Brian Gibson.
I would like to welcome both of you to the Clara Luper radio show, the most exciting show on radio. And for the next few minutes, I want you to tell me everything you know about the Urban League. Take it away, Leonard.
Let me, before talking about the Urban League, Clara, let me just first of all express to you publicly and to your radio audience our appreciation for your being with us for our 1989 Equal Opportunity Day back in November. I want to tell the people in your audience that you did a fantastic job, and the people of the Urban League, our board, our guild, and our volunteers, is that we are extremely appreciative for your having been with us. I also want to say that our board chairman, Mr. William Henderson, who is the husband of the principal of Northeast High School, Mrs. Joyce Henderson, is not with us today, and I know that he would love to be with us today, but he's also in San Diego with his wife, who is receiving the very prestigious national recognition for her very fine work as a principal of Northeast High School. We thought, Clara, today is that I would, as the president of the Urban League, the professional staff person, would share with your radio audience some information and background information on the history, the purpose, somewhat about the organizational structure of the Urban League, as we are one of the 113 affiliates of the National Urban League. We have joining with us Mr. Brian Gibson, who is immediate chairman of the board of directors of the Urban League, and he's currently the first vice chairman of the board of directors of the Urban League. Mr. Gibson has been a very, very active volunteer, a very, very active, supportive person of the Urban League for many, many years, 7 or 8 years. He brings to the Urban League board a great deal of commitment, and he also brings to the board a great deal of professional commitment in terms of his position with the General Motors Company here in Oklahoma City, serving as the personnel director. In terms of some history of the Urban League, is that I might indicate that it is so very, very important that during Black History Month that we have come on to your show. We are always so very, very excited, and it's always so interesting to me that when we look at three major national organizations concerned with the welfare of the Black community, that those three organizations were organized at the turn of the century. The National Business League in 1910, having the responsibility for the economic development, the business development of the Black community, and in 1909, the NAACP, that has had as its primary mission to protect through the courts and through legislation the civil rights of Black Americans, and the National Urban League organized in 1910, essentially having the responsibility for the social development of the Black community. So those three organizations having responsibilities for the social, economic, and political development of the Black community, having been formed at the turn of the century, is that they still continue to provide very important, significant leadership in the 1990s. So we are very, very proud of our history and our association with NAACP, with the National Business League. In terms of our history, that I would say that roughly it would parallel three general eras of development. That when blacks were moving into the urban communities out of the southern rural areas, the Urban League organized itself primarily in response to the need to provide non-existent services for blacks moving into urban communities. Those services being the need for basic housing, shelter, education, and basic social services which traditionally and historically had not been provided to blacks, and in cases where they had been provided on a discriminatory basis. So it was the purpose and mission of the Urban League to begin to break down those barriers, to allow blacks in primarily urban situations to have access to basic services on a non-discriminatory basis. During the 1940s, as following World War II, after many blacks having served their country in non-traditional kinds of occupation because of the demands and the need of a war-driven economy, that following World War II is that blacks began to demand that they would move not in terms of just basic services, but non-traditional jobs and occupation. And it was during the 40s and the 50s, through the efforts of the Civil Rights Movement, that the Urban League played a role, and a very significant role, working with major corporations throughout this country, and certainly in Oklahoma City, to provide for blacks non-traditional kinds of opportunities in professional, managerial, and technical kinds of position in the corporate world and in the public sector. As we look now to the 1990s, I think we have some new kind of challenges still related to basically the continuation of the economic, social, and political development of the black community. Our organization in Oklahoma City was organized in 1946 up under the leadership of Mrs. Sonoria D. Johnson, who was our first executive director. People such as the very distinguished R.D. Hall and Ruby Hall family, Dr. F.D. Moon, Mr. Jimmy Stewart, and many other very distinguished, both black and white person, who were committed to the purposes and the mission and the kind of methodology of the Urban League in this community. It is so very important that we recognize that our board of directors, it represents a broad cross-section. It's a large board of directors of some 35 to 37 members who represent a cross-section of this community in Oklahoma City. And we have with us Mr. Brian Gibson, indicated before as a vice chairman of the board, and we had wanted Mr. Gibson as a board member for many years to share with your radio audience some of the duties and responsibilities of the board of directors of the Urban League. And following that is that I can share with you some of the programs that we, and some of the issues that we are concerned with here in Oklahoma City.
Leonard, I want to thank you for your earlier kind remarks, and also it's quite an act to follow after having sat through the first half of Clara's show. And I'd like to take this opportunity, as Leonard mentioned, to talk a little about the board of directors. I've been involved with the Urban League myself for 10 years. As a matter of fact, it was Leonard who came and asked me to serve on the board. The board members have to be elected at our annual banquet. However, having Leonard backing you is certainly a real testimony. I, of course, came here with General Motors, and General Motors wanted to establish a strong community presence in a lot of different areas, and particularly in the minority community. And I particularly was extremely pleased to take on the role of a board member. The board, as Leonard said, is large, but we have a very, very active board. It's interracial. We have a cross-section of men, women, young adults. We represent the business, the religious, the public sector, and the government sectors of the community. I say it's very active. We meet monthly. We average at least 25 or so per meeting, and with a large board like that, you can imagine that there are many conflicts that come up from time to time. But our board members are very vocal and are very make a real contribution to all of our meetings. Our role is to provide general direction and supervision for the Urban League. But of course, we have an outstanding staff, and with Leonard as the president, and of course that makes our job a lot easier. We have terms of at least 3 years. I believe the current bylaws limit us to a 6-year term, but you can go back onto the board after you've gone off at least for a year. And this is going to be my last year, and I'm hopeful that after my year off the board that the board would see fit to ask me to come back again. Even though I'll be off for a year, I certainly intend to stay fully involved in other areas, because within the Urban League there are plenty of opportunities to serve. Volunteers, we really don't even have an accurate number now, but probably over 250 people help us with some of the programs that we run through the Urban League. Going back to the board, just some of our functions are really to generally establish policy, programs, organizational planning, assessment of the Urban League, public relations, and of course a big job of ours is to come up with the funding necessary to run the Urban League. We are very fortunate that the United Way provides a significant percentage of our funding, but of course on the other hand we have to come up with the remaining amounts of money, and that's a big job of the board right at the present time. Going back to our volunteers again, I do want to make mention of some of the groups we have, in particular the Urban League Guild, which is our auxiliary. They, of course, have a very strong role in the area of fundraising and public service as well. And while I'm here, I'm sure I have the opportunity to mention that their big fundraiser during the year, the Urban League Guild, is the Ebony Fashion Fair, which will be presented on Sunday, March the 25th, and tickets are now on sale, and hope that you'll support that. We have many other volunteers that work in our programs in the area of health and social welfare, education, employment. Some of these that Leonard has mentioned and will mention going forward. As a league, we have one major fundraiser during the year, I guess, would be the annual banquet. This year, I believe, Leonard, is on June the 1st, Friday, June the 1st.
Right.
And of course, the Equal Opportunity Day, although not necessarily a fundraiser, is an annual event, and Leonard mentioned that Clara was a featured speaker at that event this year. I guess at this point in time, I'll turn it back over to you, Leonard, if you'd like to carry on with some of the programs and so on that we have.
I'd like to ask you one question. You said a few moments ago as I was listening that you were in hopes, or you're hopeful that they will find time or find a place so that you may go back to the Urban League Board. Is this what you said? I'm just wondering why you're so interested in getting back into the Urban League program.
Well, the Urban League really gets in your blood. When I came here, this was my first real experience with the Urban League, although back in Michigan, I had the opportunity back in the 60s to attend one of the National Urban League conventions. So it's just something that once you get involved, it's very, very hard to separate yourself. And from a personal standpoint, and I know from the corporation in which I represent, that it's something that we both want to do.
And I might also add that it is so very, very important to the work of the Urban League in this community that we have the involvement of our volunteers. They provide such important, very, very important support and services, both in terms of human and financial resources for the work of the Urban League. And that we have organizationally is that we have structured and we have planned and we have programmed for many, many ways by which people in our community can become involved in the Urban League, depending on various kinds of talents that they bring to a community service organization such as the Urban League. We have a Southwestern Urban Development Corporation, an organization that has a responsibility for the management and ownership of the Urban League Community Center and other facilities that we hope in the future we would develop. We also, as Brian has indicated, the Urban League Guild, an organization of some 125 primarily women, but it is a non-discriminating organization, and they are actively recruiting for membership from men to become involved in our community. And we're also involved with our program. We provide many opportunities for our volunteers. And let me just say that we have a very small staff. The staff of the Urban League has never been a tremendously large staff in Oklahoma City, as in most communities, as we look at the kind of responsibility and the scope of responsibility that we have as an organization. So again, it is very important that we have volunteers working with us. In the program areas that we organize ourselves around basically 3 program areas where we have program task forces assigned by the Board of Directors, consisting of, first of all, members of the Board of Directors having certain kind of expertise, interests, and commitments in those 3 program areas. And we add to those task forces what we call community representatives, persons who bring certain kind of resources and commitments to the concerns in those program areas. Those 3 basic program areas includes education, health and social welfare, and employment. In the area of education, for many years, the Urban League has had a very strong program in the area of education. And I guess that we take young people all but from the cradle and certainly through the adolescent, teenage years in terms of very creative kinds of programs. In many cases, these programs and services, provided they do not reach every youngster in our community that we would love to, but we attempt to, through those programs, to design models that can be replicated by other organizations in our community to serve our youth. And maybe just to make mention of 1 or 2 in the area of education, presently is that we're negotiating and designing a program in conjunction with the Millwood School District, where we will identify some 30 pre-kindergartens in the Millwood School District who will participate in a science, math, enrichment, enhancement program with the Omniplex, where on 1 day a week is that these young people will go into that facility in an organized program to be exposed to many of the hands-on kinds of opportunities to be exposed to the field of science and mathematics. We think that as we look to the future, that it's very important at a very early age is that we begin to expose our young people to the fields, the disciplines that will lead to where the new jobs will exist in the future in terms of requiring a high degree of knowledge, understanding of science and mathematics. At the 8th grade level, we also have developed, during the past 5 years, a mentor program. And working with the Millwood School District some 5 years ago is that one of the concerns that was identified by Millwood that some 80% of their students at the time of graduation did not have well-defined career goals and objectives. So we are working with them through a program, a mentorship program, where we have identified some 20 or 25 mentors coming from the public and the private sectors who provide and help these young people define new, non-traditional kind of career opportunities for themselves. We're in the process of developing a program, a test preparation program for admissions into institutions of higher education. Many of you are aware that in the state of Oklahoma is that last year there was a very significant increase in the requirements for admissions into our state colleges and universities. We have developed a program that will provide specialized test preparation for young people at the Millwood School District, again to develop models to demonstrate that yes, indeed, young people can compete and that they compete at a high level of academic excellence. We have programs in the area of health and social welfare. We have programs that many of you are quite familiar with in the area of employment. Our Minority Skills Bank, during this past week that we have had some 80 people in our office who have been interviewing for jobs related to the work of the U.S. Census Bureau, the taking of the census for 1990. And I could go on and on in terms of some of the special programs and special areas of emphasis for the Urban League.
You could certainly go on and on. For the past 21 minutes, you have listened to representatives from the Urban League. I do have some questions. My first question goes to the president of the Urban League. I noticed you're the president. Formerly, you were the executive director. What has happened? What's the difference between the two in Urban League's language?
In Urban League language is that the president is coming out of a movement when Mr. Vernon Jordan was the president of the National Urban League, and that in many of our relationships with both private organization and the corporate world is that the president designates in many cases the chief operating officer, and it is our desire that the position of president of the Urban League, as CEO or as formerly the executive director, carries that title to reflect organizationally a difference in terms of the chairperson of the board, the chairman of the board, and the functional responsibility of the chief operating officer.
All right, sir. Mr. Board Member, you told us that you are back on the board. You are the first board in the history of the Urban League that has gone back and gotten a young man who has served previously as the executive director or the president of the Urban League. Now I want to know, why did you go back to Atlanta and get Mr. what is his name?
Leonard Benton.
Why did you go back and get him, sir?
Well, the process that we went through in selecting, and the process we go through in selecting the president at any time is an open application process, and Leonard decided at that time that he would like to reapply for his old position at the Urban League. He did go through a strenuous selection process that included other candidates, but the Urban League Selection Committee found it very difficult to find anyone that had all the credentials, qualifications, and everything that Leonard had, and he was really a going away candidate as far as the selection was concerned. And that's basically how Leonard, of course it was his own choice to come back to the Oklahoma City community, but we were tremendously happy that he felt that he would like to come back and take his old job back.
His old job has become a challenging job. Sir, I know you serve at the General Motors as a personnel director. Do you carry your Urban League principles out there? Do you hire people regardless of race, creed, or color as part of your continuous, let me put it the way you put it, Urban League is in your blood?
Well, from General Motors' standpoint, in particular in Oklahoma City here, we are a model corporation, model plant relative to the equal opportunity programs that we have in this country today. And I feel that as a plant, there is just no one in the United States who could really challenge us in that area.
Mr. Benton, I know that you have worked hard in the Urban League, and certainly you're part of the CCL and everything else in this community. What do you see as your future role in civil rights?
Clara, upon returning in the fall of this year, is that we reinstituted what is known as the Urban League Annual Institute. And the purpose of that institute is to define those critical areas of concern, those critical areas of need, those areas, those issues of which the Urban League ought to be concerned with. I think it is an important process that we engaged ourselves in, because what is so important about working in an organization such as the Urban League, that it represents, an organization does not represent just the ideas of one person, but the ideas of many persons, including our board, including our staff, and including